I have Shannon Hawkins here with Refresh Your Nest. She's going to share with us some tips and tricks for getting top dollar for your property. Joining me today, Shannon.
Thanks for having me, Roni.
You're welcome. So you own Refresh Your Nest, which
Yes.
is a local staging company. A lot of us realtors rely on you heavily.
Heavily.
Tell me a little bit about how you came up with Refresh Your Nest.
Yeah, so I've always loved interior design. I worked in the medical field for years and years and loved that as well, but I always felt like something was missing. I would help my friends design their homes, pick out paint colors. Sometimes my friends would call and they'd say, hey, you were here last night and I can't find such and such. And I'll say, yes, I put it under the sink. So I was constantly moving stuff around, and I got really tired of the medical field. I just didn't feel like it was my passion anymore and knew that I wanted to do something else. And some of my girlfriends were like, hey, you should totally start an interior design firm. And that's how Refresh Your Nest came about. Started out as an interior designer, met a friend in Greenville that had a staging company, and I was totally enthralled in her business and wanted to learn more, and started mentoring under her, and decided that I wanted to be a home stager. And now I feel like I do more staging than interior design, and that is just totally my passion. I love it.
So you and I have this in common because my degree from Auburn University is actually in interior design.
Yes.
That's what brought me from Auburn up to Charleston.
Okay.
22 so years ago, working for a big architecture firm doing interior design for them. And I segued out of the business and into real estate sales.
Yes.
But both of us are in... I mean, I still get to play a little bit
Yes.
with my clients. You know, it's like they will ask me, what color should I use for this? How should I rearrange this furniture? Let's, the depersonalization of a room that we all, TV companies tell us a lot of information about what we should do. From your standpoint, give us a couple of things that sellers should know as they're going into staging a property.
Yes.
Maybe they don't need to go full-fledged hiring a staging company. Maybe they're trying to work within the confines of what they already have. Give us some tidbits of information and insight into maybe top 3 or 4 things that we could do.
I love home staging consultations where a home is occupied. I go in and use a client's things, like you're saying that your clients will say, where can I move my couch? Where should this chair go? That is my passion. I love meeting people and helping them rearrange and get ready for photos. When I walk into a home, I always ask a client if they've ever worked with a stager before. 9 times out of 10, that answer is no, but I watch a lot of HGTV. That's my favorite quote. Or I could do what you do.
That's right.
I love it. But and that just breaks the ice. And again, I think about the buyer. That is my job, Roni. When you hire me to stage a property for you, whether that be occupied or vacant, my job is to get a buyer in there. Some of the main things that people ask me is, do I have to take down my personal photos? My answer is always yes, because a buyer can't visualize themselves there if they're seeing your babies everywhere. Your babies are beautiful. I love them, but they need to leave the house in photos. That's just something that's just kind of across the board for everybody. Another thing I get asked is, should I change my bedding? Changing bedding, in my opinion, can make a room feel totally different. I always like to say that people want to feel like they're experiencing your property when they're there. I don't want them to just view it. I want them to experience that home. And who doesn't love staying in a nice hotel, right?
Absolutely.
All hotels have white bedding. It's a cheaper fix to how people are going to view that property. So white bedding, taking away personal photos, having carpets cleaned. A lot of times, depending on the price point, people may not be able to afford new carpets or new flooring when they're moving in a property. So just showcasing that as a quote-unquote new to them is very important.
And very cost-effective, like you pointed out. I mean, you can go to Target, Tuesday morning, most, I will say, discount places have neutral bedding.
They do. And
so that's
I
easy.
love the Amazon Basics brand.
Okay.
that you can get it the next day, and it's white and fluffy, and it's not too expensive. And who doesn't, you're going to use it again. I always tell people, get something you think you'll use again, but who doesn't love some nice white bedding?
And I've noticed in a lot of your designs that you use lots of neutrals, some blues, some teals. Okay, so that kind of segues me into, what are you finding is the style? What are the colors? What is, if somebody wants to take what they have and maybe just neutralize it, stage their own property, what would you suggest?
So again, thinking about a buyer, we don't need to go with personal preference. My favorite color is purple. I have my guest bedroom's light purple. I would never tell a client to paint a bedroom purple in staging. So you definitely want to try to think about who you're marketing towards when you're staging your house. I love blues and teals. It's kind of my signature. People will call and they'll say, I know you staged this house today because it just feels like you. So I think as stagers, we all kind of get used to our own style. The fact that we can stage so many properties, there are times that if we do a house downtown that's historic, you're not going to see that same style that you would see in something in Somerville for $600,000 in Nexton. So I think it's, again, realizing when you're selling a property, you're 1 foot out the door, and we're working for somebody else at that point. So I would just encourage sellers to think about the fact that they want to sell and not to try to appeal to themselves. And that's kind of a, just a quick synopsis of, info.
So neutralizing colors, bedding, taking down personal belongings. And that's one of the things I tell my sellers every time is you're hiring me to know this is no longer your home.
Right.
That's why you've gotten me involved. I'm going to sell this house. And they'll say to me, well, if you sell, no, I'm going to sell this house and I'm going to lead you in the right direction and give you suggestions on how to do that. And it always starts with neutralizing the property.
Yes.
Cleanliness is always a key, right?
It'll sell. I mean, I've gone into houses, Roni, that were $200,000, cute little fixer-uppers that were clean, and people can see the value in that. It's really hard, in my professional opinion, to see the value in a property when they're stepping over dirty clothes or seeing that the carpets haven't been cleaned. Again, we're trying to get you a buyer very quickly and in a short amount of time for top dollar, and cleanliness goes a long way.
Well, that's why so many real estate agents hire you, is because that's our goal as well. The highest net gain in the shortest amount of time.
Right.
Staging has proven to be necessary and increasing net income for the seller. Do you know any statistics as to what a seller can, what percentage? What's the help? What's the gain?
Yeah, so in my opinion and what I've seen and our statistics is, looking at houses that, like today we're staging one that sat on the market for 7 months in Somerville. And I know that once we stage it and get new photography and market it, she'll probably be under contract this weekend. So in my opinion, staged homes sell about 27% faster than non-staged homes, and that is not just with my furniture. That is, again, utilizing those home staging consultations for me to go in and use your clients' things. Zillow put out an article, I think it was 4 or 5 years ago, that said houses with even one blue interior room sold faster because people instantly feel calmed.
It's pleasing.
It is very pleasing. Yeah, and we're in Charleston. Who doesn't love beach blue, right?
Yes.
So typically if I go into a home and a client says, hey, I'm already planning on repainting the whole house, I do pick a room that we paint blue. And that's always fun. And it's a different blue for each house, but I love that. And it works. People always say, oh my gosh, I really love that half bath, and it's like, it was blue, but they just, again, they felt a connection there. And again, that's our job as marketing experts, is to do that for our clients.
So do you change your business and materials and colors and such with the trend, or do you follow trends?
I am not a trend follower. I feel like that's part of what makes me really successful, is that I go with my gut. And again, I stage per house. So the house that we're doing today, I would not put the same furniture in of the house that we did yesterday. I do have trendy pieces because as builders call us or clients call us with new builds and say, hey, we did black windows and this and that, I do want it to look nice when we stage that property. But I don't feel like, personally, I keep trendy things on hand so much, because I feel like my style really showcases who I am as a business owner, and it's sold so many homes, I don't feel like I really need to change it.
Well, my take on that would be, too, a trend is going to be for a very short amount of time,
Yes.
and it's very pigeonholing who that buyer is.
Yes.
And again, we're making the property appeal to the larger,
Right.
The greatness pool of
Right.
buyers. And so in an effort to do that, you do want it to stage in more of a neutral
Yes.
setting than trendy, so to speak.
So the trends for this year are bold colors and neutrals, which to me is so funny. But again, it's why I use cream-colored sofas and a navy blue pillow on them, because you're getting the mix of that.
It's the contrast.
It is, and I like that in my house. I love texture. I've always got a jute rug or baskets on the wall. I just think it photographs beautifully and shows well. So yeah, I mean, that's just what I've always been doing. I'm like, hey, who's following me and making the trends for this year? What I've already been doing.
So tell us about your involvement in the community. How does Shannon give back to the community? How does the business Refresh Your Nest give back to the community?
Yes, so we most recently furnished a old cabin at Wynwood Farm for boys in Awendaw. I have two boys myself, almost 23 and almost 15, and I was a single mom for a long time and didn't have the means to give back the way that my heart always desired. So when that opportunity was presented to us, that these are very neglected and abused boys, my husband and I mean, we didn't even have a discussion about it. We're like, we're just doing it. Just tell us what you need and we're there. So Wynwood Farm was gifted some property that was adjacent to theirs, and it had an old hunting cabin on it. And it had like a little kitchenette, a half bath, and this huge area that they just didn't have furnishings for. And so they cleaned up the property, and it's where, when these boys are being transitioned back into their family, or and I don't want to misquote, I don't know if it's for adoptive families as well, because their goal is always to get these children with someone in their family, whether that be a distant cousin or an aunt and uncle. And so what they do with this particular cabin is they will let these families come with the boys and like cook a meal together and fish off the dock.
Deepen that relationship.
Deep, and just create a trust, because so many of these children, as you can imagine, they don't trust anybody. And if they do, they're, always in the back of their mind probably is this right? Mm-hmm. So our job was to create a space that felt like a home. And so we put 2 couches and a coffee table, made a living room, we made a dining area, we put in bookcases. I mean, we filled the bookcases with games. And so I even see pictures on their social media where they'll like take 30 of the boys and go play games one night. And it was on a TV special, and all of that was great. But for me, just seeing the smiles on their faces, I didn't need cameras. I didn't need a social media post. I just needed to see what I saw, and that was that we brought joy to them.
A lot of times when we give back to the community in whatever fashion that our gifts allow us to do, it does end up bringing joy and warmth back to our lives.
It does.
But we are called as business owners to give.
Yes.
I do firmly believe that is a part of a successful business owner.
Yes.
An entrepreneur, yes, we have gifts, and it serves us well within a business structure and for our families.
Right.
But how can we give the community back a piece to that?
Well, and my husband and I are very passionate about homeless. We live in Hanahan, so we have to go through North Charleston every day, multiple times. And if you've ever been on Rivers and Remount, you've seen the homeless population there. And I work with a guy that helps a lot of homeless families, get into trailers or apartments or whatever he can find for them, and we help them furnish those. And for me, if I have one queen mattress left and I need it for a staging tomorrow, and Aaron calls me and says, hey, I've got a family that needs a queen bed, I don't even think, I mean, it is like, we'll just go get another mattress tomorrow. So I feel like there are always ways like, to help like that. I hear about families that lost their home in a fire. What do they need? We've got 40 couches in stock right now. Come pick one out. So I agree. I think I'm a Christ follower, and I think as Christians, we're called to do that. As strong business owners, people look up to us. When you think about selling real estate in Summerville, you want people to think about you. When your friend's friend is going to put their house on the market, you want to come to their mind. And I don't feel like you create as big of an impact if you're not a giver.
It's true. I mean, our value is so much deeper than just the service or the commodity that we're selling.
Right.
It is so much deeper.
Right.
And that's what makes us.
Well, and I would never want somebody to say, oh, I can't call Shannon for that because she's too good to get you. No, I literally came from nothing. And, it's why I spoil my babies now. It's why I do so much with my boys, because I wasn't always able to do that. So I do not take for granted for 1 second that God has blessed my company the way that he has.
He's also blessed your family.
Yes.
You've got a new granddaughter.
A new granddaughter, Aubrey. Yep. She was born on the 29th and came in kicking and screaming and eyes wide open. And she came at the perfect time for our family. And I just adore her. She's the joy of my life.
So you've been a mom of boys, and now you've got this little girl that you get to dote over. Yeah. And being a mom of girls, it is special.
Yes, it is.
It is a lot of fun.
And I can give her back.
I
can
love on her, spoil her, and give her back.
No, it's been a fabulous addition to our family.
Congratulations on that addition to your family. So, Shannon, when you're called into a property or for initial consultation, what's one of the best things that a seller can do to help the process?
Yeah, so I always tell my sellers it takes a village to sell a house the right way. Absolutely. So they've hired you, they've trusted you, you trust me to take what they've got and make their house sing, right? And again, when I go into that home and I ask them, hey, have you ever worked with a stager before? Again, typically no. I tell them why I'm there. My job, and Roni trusts me to get you top dollar in the shortest amount of time. I give them a written list of ideas and suggestions. I tell them, you're the boss. You don't have to do everything on this list, but please know as a professional, if I wrote it down, I think it's important to execute what Roni and I are trying to do, and that's get you to the closing table very quickly. And once I start talking about money, and people understand, oh my gosh, I am selling. I don't need to worry about if I like purple or blue pillows. Shannon knows best. Then they trust me. When they understand that my job is to help make them money, I mean, who doesn't like to profit the most possible when they sell a property? I've never met one person that says, I don't care how much I make, right?
Yes.
So again, if I just keep reiterating through the consultation, and in my opinion, it depends on the age of the client. Sometimes the older clients are a little more hesitant. And again, I'll explain it to them 20 times if I have to. Please remember, when I'm suggesting this, it's only because I want to see you so successful at the closing table.
That's right. That's right. In that advice, whether it's coming from me, from you, it is all to make a successful sale in the end. So usually I find that most people will go with the guidance that we're offering.
Right.
But it is always, you have lovely things. And if somebody were to come into my home today, and because I was selling it, I would need to hear the same kind of concepts, the same material facts that we're delivering,
well, and sometimes it's nice
declutter.
to remind people, and I do have clients that give me a lot of pushback sometimes, and it's totally fine. I don't take it personally because, again, I'm just there to help make them money. But I will say to them, okay, let's take a breather, because I understand this is an emotional process. I've bought and sold many homes. You're listing your property at, let's say, $750,000. The way that your home sits currently, would you walk in here and spend $750,000 on it?
True.
And when I say that, and I say it very kindly, I mean, I'm Southern, I've got the drawl and all, so I don't sound ugly when I say it, but when I say it that way and they start looking around, they're like, well, no. And I said, then why should we expect somebody else to?
Yeah.
And that get every time. I've never had somebody complain that I said that.
Yep.
or you totally insulted me.
Yep.
It has never happened.
Yep. Well, you're a great partner. You're a great business partner for not just us realtors, but really for the ultimate end goal of a higher selling property. Shannon, what's the number one thing that brings you joy in your day? In my day,
in my career, in my day, it's probably my kiddos and this new grandbaby. But in a career sense, it's getting the phone calls that I went under contract in the first showing.
Yeah.
Oh my, I'm so glad, Shannon, that I took your advice. I'm so glad that I took Roni's advice and listened to you. That's probably what brings me the most joy in this career, is just hearing the success stories about how my suggestions help change the whole trajectory of that sale.
Yeah, that I can see that being joy.
Yeah.
Shannon, you've got so much insight and such a joyful spirit, and I'm so thankful that you brought that to our viewers and listeners.
Well, thank you for having me.
You are so welcome. Thank you.
Thanks. Have a great day.
Thank you so much for joining us today as we talked about staging your property for a quick sell, the importance of giving back to the community, and doing something that brings you joy. If you're looking to buy or sell, reach out to me. Let's talk.